So we're going to be discussing in this video how do we use elimination to find the solution of a system of equations. So this is the last method that we're going to learn in this unit. This method is best used when both equations are in standard form. Of course, you can use any of the methods we learned beforehand if you just solve the equations for y, but this is actually a lot easier to work with when you have standard form. So basically, our objective is we're going to combine both equations because they're both written in the same exact form. We're going to combine our x's, we're going to combine our y's, and but our goal is to go ahead and eliminate one of the variables in the process. So cancel another variable out. And how do I cancel a variable out? Well, I have to have a different sign and the same exact coefficient. So for example, if I have 1y, negative 1y would cancel that out. If I have positive 5y, negative 5y would cancel that out. So our goal is to get that to happen. Sometimes it's going to happen pretty naturally, and sometimes we're going to have to multiply the entire equation in order to make that happen. So in this case, if I put together my x and my x, I'm going to get 2x. If I put together positive y and negative y, this actually cancels out pretty naturally. So this is a really easy one to go ahead and do elimination because your y's, when you combine, they go ahead and cancel out naturally. So again, we're just going to go ahead and make sure everything lines up accordingly. So I have my x's, my y's, and then my constant. So x plus x is going to be 2x. Positive y and negative y cancel out, so great, that's what I wanted. And then negative 2 plus 8 is going to be 6. So now I have a one variable equation that I can easily solve by dividing by 2. And I get that x equals 3. Again, we can plug this into either or, and we can now find the value of y. So if I plug in 3 plus y equals negative 2, that's the first equation, and subtract 3 from both sides, you get y is equal to negative 5. And so that would be my value for y. If you plug in 3 to the second equation, you should get the same exact number. So 3 minus y equals 8. Subtract 3. Again, you get negative y equals 5. So y should also equal negative 5, and it works out. So my solution to this would be 3, negative 5. Okay, so in the next example, I have nothing cancels out naturally. So x and 5x don't cancel each other out, and y and negative 2 don't cancel each other out. So we are going to have to go ahead and multiply one of these equations to get something to go ahead and cancel out. So I have a 1 here and a 5, so the least common multiple between them would be 5. And here I have a 1 and a 2, and the least common multiple between them would be 2. So it would probably be easier to cancel out the y because 2 is a little bit easier to get. The way that I'm going to get this is by multiplying this whole equation by 2. My y and my negative 2y, they already have a different sign, so I don't have to multiply by a negative in order to get the sign. So when I do this, I get 2x on the top plus 2y equals negative 18. And then I'm going to move over my second equation, just put it under, so that I can combine like terms and go ahead and solve. So 2x plus 5x is 7x. This was supposed to cancel out, that was the goal. And then now I'm going to go ahead and put together 32 minus 8 and negative 18, which is just 32 minus 18. At that you get the number 14. And then now I can go ahead and divide by 7, and you get the answer for xx equals 2. We can plug that into the first equation or the second equation to find the value of y. It's easier to plug into the first equation because the first equation is pretty simple. So we have 2 plus y equals negative 9. Subtract 2 from both sides. And so we would have y is equal to, you have negative 9 and then negative 2, and so that's going to give us negative 11. And so our solution for this would be 2, negative 11. So again, if you plug this into here, you should also get 32, and let's kind of do that mentally. So 5 times 2, that's going to be 10. And then negative 2 times negative 11 is going to be positive 22. If you take 10 and 22 and add that up, you do get 32, so it works out. This point is going to give you 32 on this equation. It's going to give you negative 9 on this equation, so it works out great. And then, now this situation, if you look at it, you should notice that your x's and your y's don't line up. So we're going to go ahead and fix the second equation, the first equation, so that it's in proper standard form. So put the 2x first and the negative 3y second. If you notice, nothing cancels out naturally, so the least common multiple between 3 and 2 would be 6. The least common multiple between 4 and 3 would be 12. So either you can get a 12 here or you can get a 6 here. So I think 6 is a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and multiply the first equation to get a 6. So what would I have to multiply 3x in order to get a 6? Well, I would multiply this by 2. What would I multiply the second equation by to get a 6? I would have to multiply by 3. So remember, if you have the same exact signs, they're not going to cancel out. So I need a different sign. This one, they're both positive. So we're going to go ahead and multiply our second equation by negative 3 so that I can get one equation to be a positive and one equation to be a negative. All right, so our first equation, when I multiply it, the entire thing by 2, is going to be 6x minus 8y equals 6. Our second equation is going to become negative 6. Again, we're multiplying by negative 3, so negative 3 times negative 3y is going to be positive 9y. Is equal to negative 3 times 0 is just 0. Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. And this cancels out, which that was the whole point. And then we have negative 8 plus 9. That just gives us 1y equals 6 plus 0, which is 6. So our y is equal to 6. We can plug into any of the two equations to get our final answer. So let's go ahead and plug into the second equation. And so we get 3x minus 4 times 6 equals 3. So 3x minus 4 times 6 is going to be negative 24 equals 3. Add 24 to both sides. And we get 3x is equal to 27. So if we divide both sides by 3, we get that x is equal to 9. So there we go. So we got our x and we got our y. And that is the value. So it would be 9, 6. So remember, if we plug it into the other equation, so negative 3y plus 2, you should get 0. So let's go ahead and do that mentally just to make sure. So in here we'd have negative 3 times 6, which is negative 18, plus 2 times 9, which is positive 18. And negative 18 plus positive 18 is 0. So this point does work for both of them. Okay, so I hope that you found this video helpful, but before I end, I just wanted to talk about, well, what happens if, when you do this, both your x's and your y's cancel out, and you get something like 0 equals 0. Well, in that case, again, that would be a true statement, and basically what would have happened was that you would have had the same exact line. And if the same exact line cancels each other out, then it would have infinite many solutions. Now, if you cancel out and you get a statement like 5 equals 0 or 5 equals 10, well, that's never true. And then, again, we would have a no solution. It'd basically be parallel lines that have the same slope but different y-intercepts. Okay, so again, we will see a little bit more of that in class next time. And I hope you have found this video helpful.